As we prepare for Season 5 of the Amazing Build series and the release of Elatrion, we have to remember that not all hunters have access to the same gear, weaponry, and especially duels. So I'm Darcblade with a budget build for the hammer in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Now the main purpose of a budget build is to provide a build for newer hunters who do not have a large jewel collection. Thus, the build in this video makes use of a lot of alpha armor pieces and should allow for newer players to farm more jewels for their collection. So with the hammer, the budget build I'd recommend is a strong raw attack DPS build that also makes use of the earplug skill. The earplug skill can definitely help the hammer, as it's a wonderful quality of life skill preventing you from being knocked out of your power charge stance. So for this build you'll need the Fell Shroud Helm Beta, the Rathalos Mel Beta, the Ruinous Vambraces Alpha, Ruinous Coil Alpha, and the Rex Raw Greaves Alpha. I'm also using an Earplugs Charm 4, and for my weapon I'm using the Ruinous Obliteration. This is the Ruina Nergigante hammer, although you can get away with other hammers so long as they don't require handicraft. Now, if you have the option to augment your weapon as well, I'd recommend a health regen augmentation, affinity increase augmentation, and then an augmentation of your choice, to which I've gone for a defense increase augmentation. As for the specialist tools, these are down to personal preference. Now, when it comes to the jewels, as with these budget builds, these are aimed for people who don't have a large jewel collection. So I'm using jewels that are relatively easy to obtain. There aren't any real rare ones here. So, first of all, I'd recommend Vitality Jewels for the health boost skill. I've then gone for a Flawless Jewel to max out peak performance. This is probably the rarest jewel out of this bunch. I've then gone for Attack Jewels for some attack boost, and then you'll have two sockets to play around with, to which I've gone for a Slider Jewel for the Affinity Sliding skill, as the hammer can easily make use of this skill, and a Flight Jewel for the Airborne skill. But if you don't have what is here, you can always replace them to what you have available to you. So if you've done what I've done here, you should have a build with 150 health, 100 stamina, which will be 200 health and 150 stamina when you're on a hunt and taking all your relevant consumables. You have an attack with 1695, which will be even higher when peak performance is activated on a hunt. You have maxed out white sharpness with 15% base affinity, which can be up to 75% when you're attacking monster weak points that have been tenderized through clutch claw attacks first thanks to weakness exploit, and the agitator buff has kicked in. You have a dragon rating of 180 with high elder seal, and you have a strong defense of 1042 that is strong against fire, water and ice, but unfortunately weak to thunder and dragon. As for these skills, you've only got a few, but they're all maxed out. First of all is attack boost at level 7. Attack boost is a skill that increases the raw attack of a build, and at level 4 or above it also provides us a bonus 5% affinity. You have earplugs level 5. Earplugs is a wonderful quality of life skill that prevents us from losing control of our hunter when a monster roars, giving us an opportunity to freely attack a monster, retreat and heal. Basically it gives us a free opening. And also with the hammer it's useful as it prevents us from being knocked out of our power stance. Anyway, you have Agitator level 5. Agitator is a decent skill in Iceborne as it allows us to gain increased raw attack and affinity when a monster becomes enraged. And as you can control when a monster becomes enraged thanks to the flinch shot mechanic in Iceborne, this skill is definitely top tier. You also have health boost level 3, allowing our health to get to that maximum of 200. You have weakness exploit level 3. Weakness exploit is a skill that increases our affinity when we're attacking monster weak points. And should these weak points be tenderized through clutch claw attacks first, this increase to our affinity is increased even further. Weakness exploit at level 3 allows us a potential 50% bonus affinity. And as the hammer can easily tenderize monster body parts, thanks to it having clutch claw attacks in its combos, it can really make use of this skill. Anyway, you'll also have peak performance level 3. Peak performance is a skill that increases our raw attack so long as we have full health. So it is a little bit of a risky skill to use, but nonetheless it will increase our overall DPS so long as you can keep your health bar topped up. You'll also have Airborne level 1, this is a result of the Flight Jewel we're using. This will increase the damage of our airborne attacks. And finally you'll have Affinity Sliding level 1, which increases our affinity by 30% for a small duration after we slide down a slope. And as the hammer has moves that naturally allow it to make use of sliding attacks, this is definitely a useful skill for this weapon. Finally, for the set bonus, you'll only have one of them, which is Nergigante Ambition, Hasten Recovery, which allows us to restore health when we're attacking a monster. And this does work in unison with the health regen augmentation, and together they allow us to continue our assault without having to stop, sheathe our weapon and heal. But there we have it, that is the budget build I recommend for the hammer. Now of course, all builds out there, even the strongest ones, have pros and cons. The biggest pro for this build is its high raw attack. Thanks to using maxed out attack boost, agitator and peak performance, all of this combined with the high raw attack of the Ruinous Obliteration means that our attacks will be hitting quite hard. On top of that is a build that has quality of life skills thanks to having earplugs and health boost, making hunts feel a little bit more easier than they are. And then finally, when it comes to the pros, despite this being a dragon weapon, it can be pretty much used against any monster in the game. This is thanks to the Ruinous Obliteration having such high raw attack combined with the raw attack skills compared to its dragon rating. But there are cons. There aren't many for this build. One of them I would say is its low affinity rating, and although this is slightly alleviated with weakness exploit and agitator, it's still on the lower side for a DPS build. But the raw attack should make up for this. And then finally, the last con is that if you did want to swap the weapon out or didn't have access to the Ruinous Obliteration and you were using a different weapon that required handicraft, then you're going to be out of luck with this build, as this build has no handicraft. But regardless, this is a fun budget build for the hammer and I'd strongly recommend it. As you upgrade your armor and gain access to new jewels, this build can be made even stronger once you start utilizing affinity based skills. But that's the budget build for the hammer. Of course, as you farm more and more, hunters will get more gear and weaponry, as well as expand their jewel collection. When this happens, I hope the other builds featured in the amazing build series will come in useful. So until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you a budget build for the hammer in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.